Okay, we're going to take our Google Sites skills just one level above, and it's going to feel complicated for a minute, but it's the thing that I had to know before I liked Google Sites at all. It felt unmanageable until I learned this. So bear with us as things get a little bit complicated, and then they'll make sense. So here's the page that we've created on our practice page. You'll notice over here on the sidebar, we have the pages that we created, as well as the subpage that we created. And Google has done a pretty good job of formatting that sidebar with our main pages in the order that we created them, most recent first, and then the subpage listed underneath the page that it's supposed to come underneath. We can click through and see how that site is organized. If we wanted to change what was displayed in the sidebar, or maybe I changed my mind and I decided, I want this tips for following directions not to be a subpage, I want it to be a main page, and I want it to come before they even look at the project directions. I can do that, but it's a little bit complicated. Here's how that works. We go up here to the gear menu that says more actions, and we're going to go down here to edit site layout and click that. You'll see up here now we get all sorts of options where we can edit the way that our site is displayed on the website. We're going to go over here to this sidebar, and if we hover over or underneath sidebar, we get navigation, and it gives us the option to edit a sidebar item. We're going to click on that. Okay, here's where things are going to get more complicated before they get less complicated. You'll notice that in this checkbox, so far it has been automatically organizing my navigation. So it's taken the pages as we created them and added them to that sidebar. If we want to change anything there though, we have to undo the automatically organize my navigation, and then things are suddenly going to look like a mess. So we're going to check that, uncheck it, and now we can change the order of our pages in this window, but you'll notice we don't have any pages there. And that's confusing because we've definitely created pages. Here's the deal. We've got to go down to add page, so click that, and we've got to go back by hand and add the pages that we've created now, because we've told Google, don't do it automatically, I'll take care of it myself, but then you actually have to do it. So I created the How Google Sites Work page. I want that to show up. I also created the project directions page. I want to add that. I also created, and it's nested right now under project directions, I created tips for following directions. So I'm going to say, okay, add that. So now you'll see that I've added all three of the pages to my sidebar. If I say okay, it's going to edit my sidebar, and you'll see that it rearranges with all of those at the top level listed in the sidebar. Say I want to change the order and I'm like, maybe I do want tips for following directions to be nested. Or maybe I want project directions to come first and then tips and then Google Sites nested under tips for following directions. Okay, so I'm going to go back to edit. And now I can start to move things around. So say the very first thing I want to happen is project directions. I click that, and now I can move it up or down, or make it a subpage to something else, or make it not a subpage to something else. So project directions I want to come first, so I'm going to move it up to the top. Tips for following directions, I thought I wanted it to be a main page, but now I want it to be a subpage, so I'm going to move it back under project directions, and now I'm going to indent it to make it be a subpage. And now How Google Sites Work, I could make be another subpage, or I can move it back out and have it be a main page. So now what I've asked it to do is do my project directions as my first big page with the subpage tips for following directions, and then to have How Google Sites Work as its own page under that. When I'm ready, I can say okay. And now you'll see my sidebar has updated to reflect that. Again, I've got to say close to make it look the way it's actually going to look on my site. Again, to change that, I'd need to go back to Edit Site Layout, click on my navigation sidebar, and then move those things around. So that's how you take control of the way things are in the sidebar. The trick is that every time you create a new page, so you add a web page, you add a sub page, you've got to also go to the Edit Site Layout, come in and add that page now to your sidebar, and you can see my recent changes for what you've done most recently, or you can look through your sitemap, or you can search for the page here, but you actually have to manually find that page and add it to the sidebar. and that's the best way I've found to do it. If you know a better way, please let me know. But that's how you can take control over the display and the navigation and the organization of your Google page, and adjust as you add new content to adjust the organization. It's a really powerful tool once you get the flow of it.